Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here with Switch Adapted Toys, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to adapt this little Fisher-Price game controller. It's a really easy toy to adapt. I'll walk you through the whole process. If you find this video helpful at all, please hit the like button, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. That way you stay up to date on all our latest videos. And if you know someone that might need Switch Adapted Toys or be interested in making Switch Adapted Toys, please share our content. We want to get these into as many kids' hands as possible, so thank you for that in advance. But without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start by turning the toy upside down and removing all the screws on the back. You don't need to remove the battery compartment. Alright, so with all the screws removed, we should be able to remove the back of the toy. Now it's going to be wired to the battery compartment, so there's going to be wires connected to this, so just make sure you're not going to tug any of those wires loose. Sometimes they'll put a little dab of glue back here to kind of keep the wires out of place, so you might need to kind of unstick that glue. And we're just going to open the toy up like this. We can even disconnect the battery compartment if we want, just by disconnecting this little harness here. We can set that aside. So what we're going to do is adapt this joystick. It's really the only button that like plays a song or does something other than just make a quick sound. And so this joystick connects to this switch right here. So this is all we're going to solder to are these two wires that go right here to the switch. So it should be real easy. Now, there's a couple things you could do. You could just snip these wires off and then solder directly to these wires. You could do that, it'd be no problem. Except then this joystick wouldn't like function as it normally does. It wouldn't make any sound when you moved it, and it would only operate it when you hit the button. So you could definitely do that, but I'm gonna show you how to solder to this switch so we maintain the functionality of the toy. It's really not that hard, so let's do that. We're going to start by drilling our hole for our headphone jack. We're going to drill our hole kind of down here in the bottom of this front flap. It's almost like where a normal cord would come out of a game controller, so let's do that. So make sure you've got a drill bit that matches up with the same thickness of your headphone jack, and I'm just going to drill my hole. Just like that. Alright, so now that we've got our hole drilled, now we need to prep our headphone jack. So grab a headphone jack. Generally these will come as like a headphone jack splitter. That way you get two for the price of one basically. And we need to remove this outside casing. So grab some wire strippers and we're just going to remove the outside, just like that. So all these headphone jacks will be a little different. This one has a red wire, a white wire, and a yellow wire. 9 times out of 10 what you want to do is you want to leave the white wire separate and combine the other two. Now that might not always be the case. So if you've never used this headphone jack before, you want to make sure it's going to work before you solder anything together. But now what we need to do is we need to combine these red and yellow wires, so it basically becomes one wire. And I'll show you how to do that. All we need to do is remove the casing on the red wire and the yellow wire. And we're going to twist them together. Now what we need to do is add a little bit of a heat shrink wire cover just to kind of tidy this up and make sure that this long wire is not going to like touch anything and short something out. So grab yourself some heat shrink wire cover and just kind of cut it to size that you need. You basically just slip it over the wire. And you just want to have a little bit of that wire still exposed. And then we can use a heat gun to shrink down that wire cover. And now we just need to remove a little bit of the tip of the white wire. And so there we go. This headphone jack is ready to go in the toy. So we'll bring our back over, slip our headphone jack wire through. Alrighty, just like that. And we're going to use a zip tie to kind of secure this wire from getting pulled out if someone were to yank on that cord. I find the kind of the skinnier the zip tie, the better. It just kind of grabs the wire a little bit better. So go ahead and slip your zip tie over, cinch it down as hard as you can. Make sure you've got enough slack inside here so we can make our connection. And go ahead and cut off any extra zip tie. And you can give your wire a little tug, make sure it's going to stay put. Now, for a little extra protection, what I like to do is kind of glue this zip tie in place. So I'll use some super glue or CA glue and a little bit of activator, and that will dry like almost instantly, and that will just kind of ensure that this wire is not going to get yanked out of the toy. And the activator will like dry it instantly. There we go. That thing is not going anywhere. Alright, so now we need to put a little bit of solder on our wires just to kind of prepare them for soldering to this little switch. So I'm just going to kind of tidy these up by twisting them a little bit. Alright, once your soldering irons heat up, we're just going to get a little bit of solder on each of these wires. It doesn't take much, but it just kind of helps once we get it to the switch. All the soldering iron is doing is basically heating up the wire, and then the solder will melt. And you kind of want to just start at the base of the wire, kind of work your way out towards the tip, and you're almost like painting it on. I am not an electrician, but this is not hard. You can definitely do it. Just make sure you don't burn yourself with that tip because it is very hot. Now, I think to make it a little easier, I'm going to remove this screw, and that should hopefully allow me to remove this switch and just have a little bit more working room. Alright, so all I'm going to really do is solder one of my headphone jacks to each of these terminals where these wires are going. Doesn't matter which headphone jack wire goes where, so let's just do that now. So all I'm going to do is solder my headphone jack wires to each of these terminals on the switch. So I'm just basically heating up that solder that I put on my wires originally. Doesn't take much for that to connect, and you can give it a little bit of a tug and just make sure it's going to stay put. And then I'm going to do my other wire. Alright, so now we're done with the soldering, and we can put our switch back into place. Make sure that you don't dislodge any of those connections that we just did. Make sure you put that screw back in. Alright, now we need to reconnect our battery. So just reconnect the red harness. Alright, and now we can put it all back together. We can go ahead and put in all those screws. Alright, so let's test it and make sure it works. There we go. Alright, so thanks for checking out this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and hit subscribe. It really does help us out in a huge way. If you want to find out more about Switch Adapted Toys, you can do so on our website at www.switchtoys.org. And I guess that's it. Till next time, I'm Eric with Switch Adapted Toys, and we'll see you.
Switch Adapted Toys, making play possible.